All right, I want you to close your eyes for a second. Picture this with me. It's 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. You're walking into this just cavernous convention center.
Yeah.
The air conditioning is set to like Arctic tundra levels.
Oh, yeah.
The carpet has that weird gizzying pattern that's basically designed to hide coffee stains.
Yeah.
You're holding a lukewarm latte that probably cost you $9, and you just look out across the floor.
And what do you see?
The beige abyss.
Yep.
I mean, just row after row of identical 10 by 10 draped tables. You see people in matching polo shirts, with their arms crossed, staring at their phones, or worse, making that awkward eye contact, hoping you'll take a brochure that you absolutely do not want.
It's the sea of sameness. It's actually a real psychological phenomenon. Your brain just stops processing individual details because everything just looks like a pattern.
And for a business owner, for a marketer, that sea of sameness it's terrifying. You spend thousands, maybe tens of thousands of dollars on floor space, travel, hotels.
Shipping crates.
Just to become part of the wallpaper. It's what our source for today calls the lame duck booth experience.
It's such a massive waste of resources. I mean, if you are just present, you aren't really there.
Well, today we are fixing that. We're declaring war on the beige background. We've got a guide from Stella Pop. It's titled How to Standing Out at a Conference or Trade Show. And the mission they set out is, honestly, it's pretty audacious. They don't just want you to get a few more leads.
No.
They want you to turn your sad little table in the corner into the Taylor Swift of trade shows.
The Eras Tour analogy, I love it.
Yes. They explicitly compare a successful booth to the Eras Tour stage. Now, I have to play devil's advocate right off the bat here.
Please do.
Most of our listeners do not have a multi-million-dollar production budget. They don't have pyrotechnics. Is it realistic to compare a B2B software booth to a stadium tour?
So if you're looking at the budget, no, absolutely not.
Right.
But if you're looking at the psychology, 100%, think about why that tour worked. It wasn't just the music, it was the world building.
It was immersive.
It was immersive. It demanded your attention. And the guide is arguing that you need to stop thinking like a vendor who's just renting some square footage and start thinking like a showrunner. You're putting on a performance.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Because putting on a performance sounds kind of exhausting if I'm just trying to sell, industrial piping. But the source starts with the physical environment, the stage.
Right. And the biggest mistake people make is thinking their booth is a container, like a storage locker for your staff and your pamphlets.
Yeah.
The source argues your booth is a stage. And on a stage, you don't just have static objects, you have action.
You talk about dynamic elements, moving from passive to active.
Think about the physical barrier of a table. When you put a table right across the front of your booth, you are literally building a wall between you and the customer.
You sit behind it, they stand in the aisle.
It's confrontational. The guide basically says to just blow that up.
They mentioned some really specific tactical things to replace that wall.
Huh.
Live demos, that makes sense. But they also mentioned things like touchscreens and a digital guestbook. And now I have to ask, is a digital guestbook actually a draw? Or is it just an iPad on a stick that everyone's going to ignore?
It depends entirely on how it's used. If it's just a sign-up form, then yes, it's an iPad on a stick.
Totally.
But the guestbook concept is about participation. It's about leaving your mark. But the real psychological trick here is what I like to call the honeypot effect.
The honeypot effect. Okay, what is that?
Motion attracts motion. If you are walking down an aisle and you see, say, 3 people huddled around a screen in a booth and they're laughing or pointing at something, what do?
Oh, I slow down.
Yeah.
100%. I have to know what they're looking at. It's pure FOMO.
Exactly. It's social proof, but it's happening in real time. If you have a passive booth where your staff is just sitting down, people walk past. If you have an active booth where people are touching a screen or playing a game or signing a digital wall, you create a micro crowd.
And that crowd just pulls in the next wave of people.
Yep.
So the goal of the technology isn't just to look high-tech, it's to manufacture a scene.
You're directing a scene where your booth is the most interesting place in that room.
Okay, so we've got them to stop. We've hooked them with the scene. Now comes the part that I think most companies get so wrong, the handoff, the stuff.
The collateral damage.
I love that term, collateral damage. It's talking about those glossy trifold brochures with like 50 bullet points of technical specs. I mean, be honest, when was the last time you actually read one of those?
I usually wait until I'm back at my hotel room to throw them away, just out of guilt.
Exactly.
But I never, ever read them.
The source is just brutal here. It says, ditch the lame duck collaterals. If it's just a list of specs, put it on your website. Do not hand someone a piece of paper they have to carry around for 6 hours.
It's really about respecting the attendee. Physical space is for physical impact. And the guide talks about making collateral tactile. Treat it like a keepsake, not a flyer.
They list some alternatives that are genuinely fun. Treats to eat was one, but not the bowl of mints that everyone has had their hands in.
Please don't do the community mint bowl. The guide suggests custom consumables. So cookies or candies that actually have your brand message or colors.
Right.
It engages the senses. Taste and smell are incredibly strong memory triggers.
But the one that really stood out to me was the 3D printed keepsake.
This is a brilliant application, especially for B2B.
So let's say you're in construction or engineering. Instead of a brochure about your cement mixers, you have a tiny 3D printed cement mixer paperweight.
Oh, think about the endowment effect. It's this concept from behavioral economics where people value an object more highly just because they own it.
Okay.
If you hand someone a piece of paper, it has zero value. If you hand them the small, heavy 3D printed object, it feels like an asset. It sits on their desk.
And every time they look at that little cement mixer, they see your logo. It's a permanent billboard on their desk.
Versus the brochure, which is in the recycling bin before they even board their flight home.
And it bridges the physical and the digital, too. The source mentions using scannable codes on these objects.
Right. A beautifully designed card, or even the object itself with a QR code that leads to a demo or like a VIP landing page. You give them the toy physically, and then you deliver the information digitally.
This bleeds right into the most controversial topic in the entire trade show world.
The swag.
The merch table.
Oh.
I have a drawer in my kitchen, and it is a graveyard of bad trade show swag. I mean, cheap sunglasses, stress balls that smell like chemicals, pens that just explode.
It's all landfill fodder.
But this is where I want to challenge the source a little bit. The guide has this trash can test. The rule is, if you don't want to keep the item for yourself, nobody else will either. And that sounds great.
But
isn't there an argument for quantity? If I have a limited budget, isn't it better to have 5,000 cheap pens floating around the floor than like only 50 really nice water bottles?
Yeah, but that's the trap that everyone falls into. You have to look at what that cheap pen is signaling. Your swag is a proxy for your brand's quality.
So if the pen breaks, my brand looks broken.
Subconsciously, yes. If you give me some cheap plastic trinket that just falls apart, you're telling me you cut corners. You're telling me you go for the lowest bidder. But if you give me one high-quality item, say a really nice charging cable or a reusable metal straw, I associate your brand with utility, with value.
So the source is arguing for fewer better things.
Quality over quantity every single time. The guide mentions eco-friendly gadgets or stylish clothing. And for clothing, they have this great line. It says, not all swag is created equal. Okay?
I love that.
It brings up what I call the laundry test. If you give out a t-shirt, is it something I would actually wear to the gym or to sleep in?
Or is it one of those stiff, boxy billboards that I'm going to end up using to wash my car?
Exactly. You want to be part of their life, not part of their cleaning rag pile.
Okay, so we've built the stage. We have the cool 3D props. We have swag that doesn't belong in a landfill. But even the best stage is empty if nobody knows the concert is happening.
This is where the butterfly strategy comes in.
Float like a butterfly. This is all about the buzz.
The biggest mistake companies make is waiting until the doors open to start marketing. They post, come see us at booth 402 on the morning of the event.
And by that point, everyone's itinerary is already set in stone.
Precisely. The guide says you need to flutter your wings well before the event even starts. You need to create a narrative.
They suggest behind-the-scenes content, which I think is really smart because it humanizes the company.
It builds anticipation. Show the team packing the crates. Show the insane 3D printer being loaded onto the truck. Show the custom cookies coming out of the oven. You want people to feel like they're tracking a story that culminates at your booth.
It's like a movie trailer. You don't release the trailer on the day the movie comes out.
Right. You want people to mark their calendars. The source even suggests using email newsletters to send teasers about exclusive guests or product reveals.
And then during the event, you keep that energy up. They mention polls, live streams, and using the conference hashtag.
That hashtag is so critical. People at these events are often walking around with their heads down, looking at their phones, scrolling the event feed to see where the action is. If you aren't in that feed, you're invisible.
So you're basically directing traffic from the cloud to the carpet.
You're orchestrating the crowd.
Now, speaking of the crowd, let's talk about the physical toll these shows take. because this leads to one of my favorite strategies in the whole guide. They call it the power play, or the side shuffle.
This is all about recognizing that trade shows are just exhausting.
My feet hurt just thinking about it.
You're dehydrated, your phone is at 12%, you've had 5 awkward conversations in a row. The side shuffle is about offering a refuge.
A mini event inside the event. A cocktail hour, a breakfast briefing, or, and I think this is the key, a lounge area.
A lounge area is a strategic goldmine.
But isn't that counterintuitive? If I put out soft chairs and phone chargers, aren't I just inviting loiterers who aren't going to buy anything?
You're inviting gratitude. Think about the principle of reciprocity. If you give me a comfortable chair and a place to charge my phone when I'm desperate, I am psychologically inclined to listen to you. My defenses are down.
So it changes the whole dynamic from a sales pitch to just a conversation.
Exactly. You aren't pitching me while I'm trying to run away. We're sitting together. I'm relaxed. That is when real relationships are built. You're providing value before the transaction even happens.
And speaking of making people feel special, the guide has a specific note for first-timers.
Ah, yes. This is the Swiftie loyalty part.
If you've ever been a first-timer at a massive industry expo, you know how intimidating it is. You don't know where the bathrooms are. You don't know the jargon.
The source suggests targeting that group specifically. Shout them out. Offer a first-timer survival kit.
Like a map, a bottle of water, maybe a guide to the best after parties.
If a brand did that for me when I was new, I'd be loyal to them for life. You're anchoring them in the community. You're saying, we see you and we've got your back.
Now, we have to talk about how the team looks, because the guide gets a little adventurous here. It calls the team walking, talking billboards.
It emphasizes cohesion. You have to look like a unit, but then it suggests the adventurous route.
Themed attire. Costumes.
Yeah.
I have to be honest, this makes me nervous. There is a very, very fine line between memorable branding and middle-aged people looking silly.
It is high risk, high reward. The guide suggests treating your crew like the cast of a TV show. It has to have a narrative. It can't just be random.
So if you're a serious cybersecurity firm, you don't just dress as pirates because, pirates are fun.
No, because that just confuses the message.
Yeah,
But
no.
what if you dressed as, say, 1920s bank guards or Secret Service agents? If the theme is protection, then the costume reinforces your brand promise.
I see. So it has to be conceptually tight.
The guide even mentions interesting headgear.
Like the Viking helmets.
Imagine a whole team of software engineers in matching Viking helmets.
I mean, I would definitely stop. I would walk up and say, okay, what is the deal with the helmets?
And that's the point. The hardest part of networking is just breaking the ice. The costume does the heavy lifting for you. It gives the attendee a reason to approach you.
It sort of disarms the tension.
Right. It shows you don't take yourself too seriously, which makes you so much more approachable.
Which leads us perfectly into the networking section. Because even with a Viking helmet, networking is terrifying for a lot of people. The guide calls it socially expensive.
It is. It just drains your battery. The fix, according to the source, is preparation. Don't go in blind.
They talk about the memorable hook.
Most people just default to, hi, I'm Bob, I work in sales.
Snooze.
The guide suggests having a prepared line that actually invites curiosity. Instead of, I work in logistics, you say, I help companies stop losing money on shipping.
Oh, that's good. Because the natural response to that is, how do you do that?
Exactly. You've started a story. But the guide also emphasizes the other side of that equation, genuine interest.
Listening.
It sounds so basic, but think about the noise of a trade show floor. Everyone is talking, everyone is broadcasting. If you are the one person who actually listens, who asks a question and waits for the answer, you stand out more than the guy with the megaphone.
It's the difference between a transaction and a connection.
And there's one more power move for networking that the source highlights. If you really want to be the authority,
You have to speak out.
offer yourself as tribute.
Get on the actual stage, not just your booth, but the conference agenda.
If you can land a speaking slot, a keynote, a panel, even a small breakout session, the dynamic just flips. You aren't chasing people anymore.
You're the headliner.
You've established authority. People saw your talk, they resonated with your ideas, and now they're hunting for your booth to ask you follow-up questions.
It's the ultimate inbound marketing. You skip the awkward, hi, I'm Bob phase entirely because they already know who Bob is. So, okay, let's look at the timeline. We built the hype before the show. We designed an interactive stage. We wore the costumes. We handed out the 3D printed cement mixers. We hosted the cocktail hour. The conference ends. We go home, we collapse, and we sleep for 3 days.
No!
I knew you were going to say that.
That is the fatal error. The source calls this the encore, the art of the follow-up.
It feels like the work should be done, but the guide argues the relationship is really just starting.
You have a stack of business cards. You have a database of leads from your digital guest book. If you wait 2 weeks, they have completely forgotten you.
Yeah.
The half-life of trade show memory is very, very short.
They suggest the usual stuff, personalized emails, LinkedIn connections. But there was one old school suggestion that I absolutely loved.
Now.
Actual paper and stamps.
In a digital world, a handwritten note is a luxury item. I mean, think about your own mail.
It's bills, junk, and Amazon boxes. That's it.
So if you get a handwritten card on nice stationery, you open it first, you read it, you probably keep it.
It cuts through all the noise. It feels expensive.
It signals that you valued the interaction enough to actually sit down, find a pen, and write. That stands out so much more than the 500 automated great-to-meet-you emails they already deleted that morning.
It closes the loop on that whole tactile theme we talked about.
Right.
We started with a physical booth, and we end with a physical note.
It grounds the relationship in the real world.
So, to summarize our mission here, to become the Eras tour of trade shows, it's not about having the biggest budget.
No, it's about thoughtfulness. It's about creativity. You don't need $1 million to have a digital guest book or a comfortable chair or a clever costume. You just need to care about the attendee experience.
It's about shifting from passive attendance to active performance.
Connection over transaction. That's the whole key.
So here's a final thought for you to mull over. I want you to go back to that TV showcast idea we talked about. I want you to visualize your next trade show.
Okay, I'm visualizing.
Look at your team. The people you usually drag to these conferences. If your company's presence was a TV show and that team was the cast, who are the characters? What's the genre? Is it a drama, a comedy, a sci-fi thriller?
And most importantly, would anyone tune in?
Exactly. Would the audience at that trade show actually want to watch the next episode? Or would they just change the channel to the booth next door?
That is a terrifying question, but it's the only one that really matters.
Something to think about while you're 3D printing those paperweights.
Yeah.
Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.